If we continue to do the right things, Edo will become one of the highest GDP in the next 5 years. Obaseki, na him talk this one. Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki don talk say if Edo continue to do the right things, the state go become one of the highest GDPs for Nigeria in the next 5 years. Obaseki talk this one for the Edo State Thought Leadership Series for civil servants when the team na driving investment to building the Edo of our dream, public and civil service mandates. Obaseki when talk say government na about the people, come still talk say right from time, Edo get system wey help us grow our economy and dominate our environment. Obaseki talk say wetin dis governments mean by making Edo great again na to create Edo State wey tanda gidigba as e dey before, and for this to happen, bureaucrats get role to play.
Government is about people. People come together to create a government to protect them, to provide law and order for them, so that they in turn can undertake their daily activities, which are usually productive daily activities, for their sustenance. That's the purpose for which government is found. Government is not there for itself, because if you don't have people who say they want government, if you don't have people who want protection, some entity to protect them, then you will live in a state of anarchy, in the Hobbesian state. So every society, every community over time evolves into one in which you create some government of some type, some form, to help organize how people conduct themselves in the communities or society. For us in Edo, we are particularly lucky because from historical times, over 700 years ago, we've been fortunate enough to organize ourselves into a system that has helped us grow our economy, deepen our civilizations and the way we do things, and helped us dominate the environment around us. So unlike many other entities that have remained small, we were fortunate as a people from the Ogeso era into the current dynasty, particularly because of our system of governance, our monarchical system of primogeniture, to have created a system, a political system that was stable, and we've built around a government arrangement around that system. Not many societies or communities in Africa have been able to do that. We have always had government, and we have always had bureaucrats in Edo from historical times. So when the British came in after 1897, they met a fairly organized bureaucratic system and governmental system. Why the bureaucracy? The bureaucracy has always been there, like I said, to support the activities, usually the economic and social activities of the citizens, because they create that order, that design on which people carry out their economic activities. It is very instructive and interesting to note that since Nigeria became independent, it is only Edo and Delta, Midwest, that was able to, on its own fight, to say we wanted to be independent. They had enough resources, they had enough confidence because of this history to say we can be on our own and we can administer our territory ourselves. So when we talk about making Edo great again today, what we are saying is that if you see where we are coming from, this is how we have evolved over time to get to where we are now. So we cannot say because of Nigeria is going the way it is, therefore we will just flow along. No, we have not always been like this. That's why they attempt to recreate who we are, to make Edo great as our forebears had it. And who will do this? Who has the capacity to ensure that the society is organized the way it should be for economic growth? It is the bureaucrats. They, like I said, have two things going for them. First, hierarchy, because it has to be very well structured. And secondly, tenure. You just can't move the bureaucrat from his position the way you like without due process. So in a sense, they become the custodians of a system.
Obaseki talks say bureaucracy now be the glue when they put things together before, but everything changed for Nigeria since we discovered oil.
Where are we? First, we say we have aging infrastructure. Roads are not built. You can't, you go to the Ministry of Works. I've just finished meeting with the contractors. Processes are unclear. And all of that has affected how we even provide the basic structures for us to run life as a country. Over time, we became so dependent on crude oil because in the 60s, in the pre-colonial times, through the colonial times, through independent era, we did not have crude oil. Our economy was based on a diverse products. You had services, people who were rendering services in the crafts, in arts, in academia, in industry, in agriculture. That's how people made money. One of the richest people then at that time, they were into produce. They were exporting produce. People like S.B. Bakari in Lagos, they were into Steve Doran, into freight. That's how people made money. To the extent that you have a diverse economy, you don't have one person or one group that was just totally dominant. Everybody depended on the other. And the glue that put all of this together was usually the bureaucracy. So when you come into government, there had to be a plan. A 5-year, a 10-year, a 20-year plan to tell the citizens where the country will be at a certain point in time. But with oil, somebody just came in overnight and you had millions of dollars. So the government began to feel as if it was very rich. And that's how this whole era of bogus contracting came about. So naturally, it affected the civil servants. First, you could retire people with ignominy, without due process. So that uncertainty, people were not sure anymore. And then most of the time, they hadn't saved up enough. And then you found people just come in, they say they are commissioners, or they are, ministers at that time, and give contracts to people, and those people just became multimillionaires. So that's how the issue of corruption seeped into. And once we stopped thinking like a productive country, what happens? We're dealing with the kind of pressures we're dealing with today. Inflation. Prices keep going up because you're not producing enough of what you're consuming. Then government monetary policy has just gone haywire. So especially under the military, because they did not think they had that sense of legitimacy, and they also had oil revenues, the whole purpose of government, which is taxation, was dropped. So today it's like strange and alien for asking people to pay tax. I was in another African country last week. It's automatic, because once you don't have crude oil, what are you going to do? Our government can only run from levying taxes on people who are undertaking economic activities. That means you have to provide for them to be able to undertake their economic activities, to pay the taxes to sustain the state.
Obaseki when talk say nobody go fix Nigeria for us, Kontinu say the approach when though they use not to reorganize government, provide security and order, deliver basic services and other ogbonge things.
We have said in Edo State, how do we make Edo great again? We could either continue to lament about our conditions, or sit back and reflect and say, okay, how did we get here? And how do we get out of the situation we're in? In doing so, we are saying, I don't want to talk about the impact of the implications on the impact on the economy, because, like I said, that dysfunction, that disconnection has created a lot of problems for us. Whether it's high cost of doing business, high cost of social services, all the crises. But what has been our response? Our response, unfortunately, is that the elites, who are usually the bureaucrats, the professionals, who should change the society, are the ones who lament the most. No, not lamenting with the purpose of finding solutions, lamenting to see if they can benefit from a loophole, get their own, and continue. It's like a country that is at a traffic junction with, like Ojo Eleba in Lagos, as they describe it, where you just have a junction with uncontrolled traffic and everybody is stuck. Somebody comes with his siren, blows through, you think, oh, okay, this one has authority. Maybe when he gets to the junction, he will help us organize and let everybody flow through. No, he just gets there, he finds his way, and he goes. That is how Nigeria operates. Whereas, that somebody should come and stay at that junction, do the studies and say, no, and open up so that things can move. So as a country, we're stuck. And the elites who should help us, release the economy, release the country, are just looking for opportunities to sneak out. So what is our approach in Edo? We said, look, we can either continue to lament or sit back and say, let's see how we can fix this. Because nobody is going to come from, another country to fix Nigeria for us. We must do it ourselves. And I am one of those who believe, and have seen that we have the capacity to. First, we must admit that we have a problem. Secondly, we must also admit that it is our problem. And thirdly, that we're the only ones that can solve our problems with help from outside. The help cannot be that somebody will leave his own problem and come and solve our own problem for us. It cannot work. It's not. The last time somebody came to do that was 2,000 years ago, called Jesus Christ. So, what is our approach? We say, look, let's just think and I'll break it down. First, we need to reorganize government. Get government to work. Because if you don't have government working for everybody, as you're seeing, it will not work for anybody after some time. So that the government should do what it's supposed to do. Provide security for you, provide order, provide productivity, and deliver some basic services. It's when you have a government that works, you can now think of providing infrastructure, because they're the ones to help us design, do the studies and the analysis on the type of infrastructure which we provide. Thirdly, I'm looking at what our themes are. Healthcare, education, because government is about people. If you don't have healthy, well-informed, well-educated people, then how can they be productive? But who plans for them? Like I told you, at one time in this country, every child, government had a plan for every child, from primary school through the rest of their lives. It's only when we have healthy, well-informed, educated people can we build the services we need. Can we grow a holistic economy, take advantage of the opportunities we see, whether it's in agriculture, in technology, in all the areas, to make money and improve the standards of living of our people. So for us in Edo, we're saying, what do we want to be? What do we want to do? We want to be a modern state where every citizen is empowered with the opportunities that we have around us to live life to what they can be.
Obaseki talks here Edo na place where people they pass well out to visit other parts of Nigeria, and for people to spend their money here, Edo must be attractive.
We are so blessed because of our location. In this country, there are many places you will not go to, except you plan, you will never get to, except you decide to go there, because there's something you must go and do there. Do you know that? Very many places, many cities, you can't say, I'm going to Uyo. No. You accept something takes you to Uyo. You will never just wake up to say, I'm going to Uyo. Or you are going to Calabar, or you are going to Sokoto, or you are going to Medugriwa. You have to make a decision that I want to go there. But Edo, Benin City, no. Every day, people must pass through. Do you get? Traffic must pass through. Because in going to wherever they are going, they must pass through. So whereas everybody is waiting, doing things to bring people to their own destinations, we sit and people pass through every day. So what must we now do? Focus on. We can say we have to take certain steps to make those people passing through stop and spend time and money here. And they can only do that if they find this place attractive enough. And if you give them the incentives to. But if they are passing through and the local government is harassing them, where's your radio tax, where's your this, quickly just pass away. We say, these people are very hostile. But when you harass people, people feel a sense of insecurity. They feel, no, don't stop there, or they will rob you, that, and it becomes a problem. And just as an aside, the other thing I find which we must do is communicate good about ourselves. We communicate very negative things about ourselves. People say, as a government, we don't talk much, we don't communicate much. I say, you see, I've always believed that what you say, what you tell a third party about me is usually going to be that impression that person leaves. Do you get? If I go and start telling that person, this is who I am, that I am, okay, maybe, what, in any case, what do I expect you to say? I expect you to praise yourself, but if the third party says, no, don't, this person is so, you say, is that true? It's more believable. So the way we communicate our Edo-ness is important. And it has to be how we make people see us, how we make the citizens see government. People have a reason to be angry. Many people are very angry about Nigeria. So sometimes they don't even see when efforts have been made to change things. They just say, no, it's just wrong, no. They're just in a protest mode. That we must try and change.
Obaseki constitutes more for security, building infrastructure, land administration, and transportation. He talks in only civil service, now fit communicate wetin government they do to Edo people wella.
Security is a key purpose of government. Without being able to secure lives and property, government has no purpose. And unfortunately for us, for many years, particularly under the military, security was centralized. Whereas security is supposed to be local. In most parts of the world, you have a federal police, you have the regional police, you have the state police, you have the local. You won't have police in some schools. You go to some universities in America, within the campus, they have their police. What is policing? It's just getting people, your megad is your police in your compound, isn't it? It's just about organizing this arrangement on a broad base. So we've got to, we have to, I know it's something that we're going to have to deal with constitutionally, but even before then, look at what we've done with the vigilantes in Edo. That's policing. And look at the kind of results we're getting from securing ourselves. We can only do more. We need to put much more investment in securing ourselves and also communicating that sense of security. Lagos is not the safest place in Nigeria, is it? But when they talk about Lagos, is it the first thing you hear armed robbery or insecurity? You don't hear about it. But Edo people, like I was at the presentation last week, and somebody from Edo was telling me, I can't come home because it's too unsafe. I said, you telling the world that your home is not safe. Who will now come? So the perception of security is also important. Because security is not absolute. There's nowhere that is, totally safe in this world. You look every day in all parts of the world, people are shooting each other. But when they talk about those areas, you don't say, no, I won't go there because, they shot some children in school yesterday there. Infrastructure, we have to build infrastructure. Because, like I said, we're a hub. People must pass through. When all the national infrastructure pass through Edo, the road infrastructure, the gas infrastructure, the transmission infrastructure, all pass through Edo. When they come here, we need to also take advantage of that national and build our own internal infrastructure to utilize all that resource, whether it is human traffic that's coming in, through transport, or whether it is gas that's coming in through the network, or whether it's electricity, we should take advantage so that we can build world-class infrastructure and people will come here and use that infrastructure which they can't find anywhere else. So our goal in Edo is that by 2030, we will have, right now, I believe we are one of the most electricity-rich states. We will have more electricity than anybody else. Because Benin City alone today, through Azura, feeds the national grid with about 12 to 15% of the power consumed in this country every day. That's just one of several plants. Last weekend, Osiomo was down because they didn't have any gas. I had to start calling the NPDC managing director, and they said, okay, they'll open one of the valves in one of their wells. So whereas everybody else is looking for gas, we're sitting on gas. We have the largest onshore gas reserve. So we're saying, while we're waiting to fix the power problem in Nigeria, let's create use for the power here and let people come and establish their businesses here and utilize energy here. In Edo today, our cost of energy is cheaper than you could get in Europe. Because with the Ukrainian war today and the high price of gas in Europe, 1 kilowatt hour of electricity is about 20 cents in Europe. Here, we can still get it for 10 because we're flaring it. Do you understand? So the potentials we are sitting on is mind-boggling. We have no reason to be poor. And particularly in Edo, I see this state having one of the highest GDPs in the next 5 years if we do the things we need to do. Land administration, because everything we do has to be situated on land, right? We, from pre-colonial times, from the empire days, have always had a robust land administration system. When the colonialists came, they found that we already had, so once you wanted land in Benin, for instance, you go to the community, to the ward leaders sit there, they do the allocation for you, get a surveyor, you survey it, you take your plans to the palace, and the Oba will register your title. This was the situation until the Land Use Act. So we've always known these things, we've always done these things. But somehow things just went haywire. So with the GIS, with the right technology today, we are ensuring that we are able to define ownership of land, use of land, so that we can get people to utilize land a lot more productively. Transportation, because we're a hub, we need to move goods and services. And unfortunately, the national transport policy is not the best, but that cannot stop us from not having our own. When we came to Edo, we found out we didn't have a transport policy. Guess what? You know who decides on our transportation policy in this place? Huh? My cousins on the streets. Who ride, you know them. They're the ones who determine transport policy here. They are the ones who determine where a park should be. They just decide this is a park and you load from them. True or false? Should that be? We have to ensure that we start a rethink. Because the biggest challenge we have as a government is not that we're not doing things. We are doing things differently. But most people cannot accept the fact that things can be different from the way it used to be. You get? So for them, some people are saying, no, they'll tire out soon. It won't work. Others are saying, oh, no, forget them, because you've come to upset the status quo. Others are saying, well, let us wait. We'll just wait and see. We'll be looking and see what will happen. So we don't have a critical mass. We will not be able to galvanize a critical mass of Edo citizens to begin to walk in that direction we want to. They believe us. We could tell from our last elections that people believe that, well, yes, these people are different, please leave them. I'm not sure whether it was out of sympathy, of just justice and fairness, or whether they really believe that with what we're doing today, we're trying to change Edo into the future. And the only people who can make them believe is you. Because if you don't see where we're going, if you can't see the future we're trying to create, then you will not be able to communicate it. And if you can't communicate it, people will not believe it.
Head of Service for Edo State, Anthony Okungbawa, thanked the governor for the ogbonge working environment for civil servants and said civil service for Edo don't grow since Godwin Obaseki become governor. He constituted the reason for this leadership series.
Your Excellency is a beauty of an edifice both in and out. I expected that we applaud that. Your Excellency, sir, what was particularly interesting to me was the smile I saw on the faces of public servants who now occupy that building. We interviewed some of them, and they were quite effusive and profuse in praising the governor for providing such comfort and convenience for their work. They were also quite unanimous in declaring that nowadays they do not even remember that it is time for them to close. And Your Excellency, they meant every word of it. Who wouldn't work well in a work environment like that? Your Excellency, thank you. Our workspaces are now excellent. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Since Mr. Governor came on board, the state public service has witnessed growth and development like never before seen in the history of the public service. Is it in the area of infrastructure? Is it in the area of work equipment? Is it in processes? Is it in welfare? Your Excellency, we were just discussing before you came into the hall how much you have done for the public service, for public servants, and how so little of that is in the public domain. We want to apologize, Your Excellency, for not having done what we should have done, ensuring that we sound it loud and clear for people to know what you have been doing in the public service. Your Excellency, sir, every time we speak about your multifarious achievements, one question that we have always been confronted with is, how do we deepen these achievements and sustain them beyond your tenure of office? This has become a recurring decimal. Your Excellency, sir, we strongly believe that one way of achieving this is to sell the transformation initiative to the public servants themselves, for whom Your Excellency meant the program. Make them buy into it, own it, and eventually drive it. This indeed is the only way to sustain these momentous achievements in the public service of Edo State. Communication is an effective tool for driving ownership. As I said, we haven't spoken enough about the transformation project, even among ourselves. Communication has been largely scanty and ineffective. Mr. Governor has taken out time to interact with permanent secretaries, directors general, and other top civil and public servants, but not much has happened below the directorate level in the service. Incidentally, this is where the bulk of the people who would carry the vision, your vision, Your Excellency, beyond the current administration, this is where they are. This program is therefore designed to bridge that gap. We believe that the most effective way of doing this is by having the vision bearer himself talk with the people, with your people, explain to them the objectives of the vision and interface with them as to how to keep the fire burning and the flag flying. I would like to thank Your Excellency, Mr. Governor, for readily supporting this initiative and agreeing to communicate the transformation initiative directly to our middle-level manpower. Again, this is the first time, to my knowledge, that interaction between the governor and mid-level manpower is happening in this state. It is our expectation that participants at this event will not only learn more about the programs and policies of this administration, but will also do well to tell it to the world.
Omoaluke Ajakaye, TMC TV News. Don't forget your PVC and be your power. No sell I'm giving a politician on election day.